The tip that changed everything. As Sarah wiped away her tears, staring at the small blue card in her trembling hands, she couldn't believe how a single moment had transformed her life forever. The billionaire who'd seemed so cold had seen something in her that she'd long forgotten in herself. But what would she do now that everything she thought she knew had been turned upside down? The morning had started like any other at Rosie's diner. Sarah Matthews tied her apron with practiced efficiency, tucking a stray strand of honey blonde hair behind her ear. At 32, she'd been waiting tables for nearly a decade since her husband walked out, leaving her with mounting bills and a 7-year-old daughter to raise alone. "Table 12 needs coffee," barked Gus, the cook who'd seen it all in his 20 years behind the grill. "And heads up, word is Maxwell Reed just sat down in your section." Sarah nearly dropped the coffee pot. Maxwell Reed? The tech mogul whose face graced business magazines and whose net worth could probably buy the entire neighborhood? What was he doing in their modest diner on the outskirts of town? She approached table 12 with her professional smile firmly in place, though her heart hammered against her ribs. The man sat alone, his tailored suit worth more than her monthly rent, absorbed in his phone. "Good morning, sir. Welcome to Rosie's. Can I start you with some coffee?" He barely looked up, giving a curt nod. No smile, no acknowledgement of her as a person. Just another entitled rich guy, she thought, used to people jumping at his command. As the morning progressed, Sarah juggled her tables while keeping an eye on Reed. He ordered the simplest item on the menu, eggs and toast, and continued working on his phone, occasionally taking calls in a voice that commanded attention without raising its volume. When he finally finished, he placed a $100 bill on the table, for a $12.95 meal, and left without a word. Sarah approached, expecting a generous tip that could help with Lily's school supplies this month. But as she picked up the bill, her heart sank. No additional tip. Just the $100 to cover the meal, with instructions to keep the change. Technically generous, but from a billionaire? It felt like an insult. She lifted his plate to clear it, and that's when she saw it. A small blue business card placed precisely where only someone clearing the table would find it. On it, just 3 words and a phone number: "Call me today." Sarah's hands froze. What was this? Some kind of sick game? A proposition? Her cheeks burned with indignation. She slipped the card into her pocket, determined to throw it away at the first opportunity. But as her shift wore on, curiosity gnawed at her. What could Maxwell Reed possibly want with a waitress from Rosie's diner? "You okay, honey?" asked Marlene, the senior waitress who'd taken Sarah under her wing years ago. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "I'm fine," Sarah lied, touching the card in her pocket. "Just tired." By the time she picked up Lily from her neighbor's apartment, the card felt like it was burning a hole in her pocket. After dinner, with Lily engrossed in homework, Sarah finally pulled it out. "This is ridiculous," she muttered, but found herself dialing anyway. The call connected on the second ring. "Maxwell Reed." Sarah's voice caught. This is Sarah. The waitress from this morning." "Sarah." His voice sounded different, warmer somehow. "Thank you for calling. I apologize for the theatrics, but I needed to speak with you privately." "About what?" she asked, suspicion edging her voice. "About your daughter's artwork." Sarah nearly dropped the phone. "Excuse me?" "The drawing in your apron pocket. I noticed it when you were serving. A design for a water filtration system, wasn't it?" Sarah's mind raced. Lily was constantly drawing inventions, and Sarah always kept her latest creation in her pocket, close to her heart. Today's had been a water filter design for countries without clean water, as Lily had explained. "That's my daughter's drawing. She's 7. How did you even see that?" "I notice things, Sarah. That's how I built my company. And what I noticed was an extraordinary design concept from a child. One that, with some refinement, could actually work. Sarah sank onto her worn couch, the implications hitting her. Reed's company, Horizon Technologies, specialized in sustainable water solutions for developing nations. What exactly are you saying, Mr. Reed? I'm saying I'd like to meet your daughter. And I'd like to offer her, and you, an opportunity. 2 days later, Sarah found herself in the gleaming headquarters of Horizon Technologies, clutching Lily's hand as they were escorted to the top floor. Lily, wide-eyed but unintimidated, carried her notebook filled with designs. Maxwell Reed greeted them personally, crouching down to Lily's level with a respect Sarah had never seen an adult show her daughter. "You must be the brilliant mind behind the filtration design," he said, extending his hand to Lily. "I'm Lily," she replied, shaking his hand with surprising confidence. "Are you really going to look at my inventions?" "I am. And I've brought some of my engineers to look too, if that's okay with you." What followed was the most surreal afternoon of Sarah's life. She watched as her daughter explained her ideas to a room of engineers who took notes and asked questions as if she were a colleague rather than a child. Reed observed it all, occasionally catching Sarah's eye with a look she couldn't quite decipher. When the engineers finally left, Reed invited them into his office with its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. "Your daughter is extraordinary," he said simply. "But I suspect you already know that." Sarah nodded, throat tight with emotion. "She's always been special. Creative. But we've never had the resources to nurture her potential," Reed finished. "That's why I'm offering you both a place in our Young Innovators program. Full scholarship for Lily through college, mentorship from our top engineers, and a position for you in our community outreach division, if you're interested." Sarah stared at him, waiting for the catch. "Why would you do this?" Reed's expression softened, revealing something vulnerable beneath the billionaire exterior. "Because 25 years ago, I was a kid with ideas and no resources. Someone took a chance on me. Now I'm in a position to do the same." He paused, looking out at the city. "And because I recognized something in you too, Sarah. The way you carry yourself, how you protected your daughters drawing close to your heart, how you managed to smile despite everything. That resilience is rare." For the first time in years, Sarah felt seen, not just as a waitress, a single mom, or a struggling survivor, but as a person with value and potential. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "Say yes," Lily piped up, making them both laugh. 6 months later, Sarah stood in the same office, now as the director of Horizon's Community Innovation Program, watching as Lily demonstrated her newest design to a group of investors. The program had already identified 12 other children with extraordinary potential from underprivileged backgrounds. Maxwell, now Max to her, stood beside her, their shoulders almost touching. "She's going to change the world," he said quietly. "She already has," Sarah replied. "She changed mine. And yours too, I think." He turned to her, the warmth in his eyes now familiar. "You both did." Their relationship had evolved slowly, built on mutual respect and shared purpose before anything else. Now, as his hand found hers, Sarah reflected on how a single moment, a hidden card beneath a plate, had altered the trajectory of their lives. "You know," she said, "you could have just left a normal tip and introduced yourself properly." Max laughed. "Would you have believed me if I'd told you I was interested in your daughter's invention? Or would you have thought I was just another rich guy with an agenda?" "Fair point," she conceded. "But for the record, you should always tip your server." "I'll remember that," he promised, squeezing her hand. "Though I hope you're not planning on waiting tables again anytime soon." "Not a chance. Turns out I'm pretty good at spotting potential in unexpected places too." As they watched Lily captivate the room with her brilliant mind and infectious enthusiasm, Sarah realized that sometimes the greatest opportunities come disguised as disappointments. Sometimes what looks like being shortchanged is actually the universe making room for something far more valuable than money. If you found this story touching, please hit that like button and subscribe to see more stories that remind us how unexpected moments can change everything. I'd love to know which country you're watching from. Drop it in the comments below. Remember, the kindness you show today might be the opportunity someone else has been waiting for. Sometimes the smallest gestures, even a hidden note, can transform a life forever.